The Ukrainian winter night was a battlefield of silence. The snow lay heavy on the broken fields, muffling the sound of movement. Only the whisper of wind against ruined farmhouses hinted at life. Yet, hidden in the shadows, life stirred, lethal and disciplined. Sergeant Oleksiy Melnik adjusted his scope. Through the green haze of his night optics, he watched a Russian supply column inch along a narrow road. Trucks, armored personnel carriers, and soldiers trudged through the frostbitten terrain, their breath visible even at a distance. To the untrained eye, it was just another column. To Oleksiy, it was a gift. 2 trucks carrying ammo, he whispered over the encrypted radio. 3rd vehicle, troop transport. Around 30 men on foot. They don't know we're here. Beside him, Irina Koval, a sniper almost as legendary as the frost itself, exhaled slowly, her rifle already trained on the lead officer. 1 shot and the whole column scatters. But we wait. Command says maximum impact. Oleksiy grunted in agreement. The war had taught him patience. The sniper's art was not just about precision but about timing. Each bullet carried weight, political, tactical, psychological. Tonight, their mission was to halt Russian reinforcements before they reached a contested village just 20 kilometers east. Through his scope, Oleksiy saw the Russians laughing, smoking, careless in their temporary comfort. His finger hovered near the trigger, but he restrained himself. Killing 1 man was easy. Destroying morale was strategy. The 2 snipers lay hidden beneath snow-dusted camouflage nets, their bodies numb but their minds sharp. Every passing second stretched like a taut wire. The world was reduced to the rhythm of heartbeats, the frost on the barrel, and the knowledge that their shots could tilt the balance of a battle. At last, a signal came over the radio, 2 soft clicks. Permission granted. Oleksiy's crosshairs steadied on the officer's temple. Irina aimed at the driver of the 2nd truck. They exchanged a brief glance, a silent acknowledgement of shared duty. 3, 2, 1. The night cracked with 2 sharp thunderclaps. The Russian officer collapsed instantly, his cap flying into the snow. A heartbeat later, the truck driver slumped against the wheel, sending the vehicle swerving into the ditch. Chaos ignited. Soldiers shouted, rifles jerked upward, headlights swung wildly across the frozen field. Snipers! Find them! Someone roared in Russian. But the unseen hunters had already moved. Oleksiy and Irina slid meters to the side, rolling into pre-dug snow trenches. They vanished like phantoms, their old nests left behind as decoys. Within seconds, Russian fire riddled the abandoned spots. Bullets ripped the snow into clouds of white powder. Irina's calm voice cut through the noise. 2nd wave, Oleksiy. Troop cluster near the 3rd truck. He adjusted, zeroing in on a group huddled behind an engine block. 1 squeeze, another Russian fell backward, a neat hole drilled through his helmet. Panic spread. The column fragmented, men diving for cover in ditches and behind vehicles. A few brave ones tried to rush forward, firing blindly into the night. Their shots cracked the air but struck nothing but emptiness. Oleksiy and Irina fired in rhythm, never from the same place twice. Each shot was deliberate, surgical. A soldier reaching for a radio dropped before he could call for backup. Another, trying to mount a machine gun on top of a carrier, slumped dead across the barrel. The battlefield turned into a kill zone orchestrated by invisible hands. Ammo truck, Irina whispered. Her scope locked onto the fuel cap. She exhaled, squeezed, and the bullet sparked ignition. Flames erupted, swallowing the vehicle in an orange roar. The explosion hurled men off their feet, the blast echoing across the steppe like rolling thunder. Oleksiy grinned despite himself. Beautiful shot. The Russians were trapped between fear and fury. Some tried to regroup, shouting orders into the cold night, but every leader who raised his head found death waiting through glass. Minutes stretched into an eternity of precision and terror. By the time Russian artillery began blindly shelling the Trilene, half their force was already down. Trucks burned, ammunition cooked off, screams carried through the smoke. Oleksiy tapped Irina's arm. Time to move. They'll grid this place soon. They retreated deeper into the forest, shifting positions as mortar shells thudded behind them. Yet even while relocating, they paused for opportunistic strikes, plucking off stragglers and medics who tried to drag the wounded away. Every shot wasn't just a kill, it was psychological warfare. To the survivors, the Ukrainians weren't snipers. They were ghosts. By dawn, the Russian column was crippled. Smoke rose from gutted trucks, bodies sprawled across snow that had turned crimson. Only a scattered handful of survivors huddled near the wreckage, too terrified to advance, too ashamed to retreat. But retreat was exactly what they attempted when a lone armored vehicle roared to life, its engine coughing black smoke. A dozen Russians scrambled aboard, desperate to escape. Alexei and Irina had anticipated it. From their new vantage on a low ridge, they tracked the vehicle as it lurched toward the open road. "This is it," Alexei muttered. His last magazine was half spent. One final message. "Irina's, I never left her scope. The driver first. Then the hatch gunner." The shot cracked, and the driver's head snapped sideways. The vehicle veered, wheels grinding into snowbanks. Before it could stabilize, Alexei dropped the gunner, the man's body hanging limply from the turret. The armored carrier stalled. The trapped soldiers inside scrambled out, hands up, weapons abandoned. The battlefield was silent now except for crackling fire and distant artillery thuds. Alexei lowered his rifle, a rare gesture of mercy. "Let them walk. Their fear will do more damage than our bullets." Irina nodded, her expression unreadable beneath the frost on her face. Fear spreads faster than fire. The Russians fled into the tree-line, shadows swallowed by the winter dawn. For a long moment, the two snipers lay still, listening to the silence they had created. No engines, no orders, no defiance, only the aftermath of precision. Alexei finally spoke, his voice low. 30 men with rifles can fight. 10 men with fear can't. Command will be pleased." But Irina's gaze lingered on the horizon. "Pleased, yes. But this is only one night. Tomorrow, there will be another column. Another fight." He sighed, adjusting the rifle strap across his shoulder. "Then we'll be waiting." The rising sun painted the snowfields in shades of gold and red. To anyone passing by, it looked like a graveyard of steel and fire. To Alexei and Irina, it was a reminder. War was not won by numbers alone, but by those who knew how to turn patience, precision, and fear into weapons sharper than any blade. Together, they melted back into the forest, phantoms once again, until the next night, the next column, the next hunt.